Everybody asking how we doing, say we good. Don't need no one to tell me how to live just like they would. It ain't their business, but they in it, I don't know why. Revolved around.
The primary factors expected to contribute to the increase in inflation in Malaysia in 2024 is non-food inflation. Because the research house said non-food inflation is anticipated to rise by 2.5%. Non-food inflation is predicted to increase as a result of the fuel targeted subsidy scheme, a managed float pricing structure for RON 95 fuel with a range of 2.25 ringgit Malaysia to 2.35 ringgit Malaysia per litre is a plan by the government. This move would have an effect on overall inflation. It is anticipated that this change in price of petrol would result in a 2.5% increase in non-food inflation.
For the question number 2 is identify and explain type of inflation based on the article. The inflation that I found is cost-push inflation. It is a purported type inflation caused by increase in the cost of important goods or services where no suitable alternative is available. As businesses face higher price for underlying inputs, they are forced to increase price of their outputs. So, based on article, I identify factors such as rising fuel price, which could be influenced by global commodity prices, are expected to contribute to non-food inflation. Point number 2 is demand pull is a form of inflation. It refers to instances when demand for goods and services exceeds the available supply of those goods and services in the economies. Economists suggest that price can be pushed higher by an increase in aggregate demands that outstrip the available supply of food in the economy. So, based on the article, the anticipation of improved domestic supply chains and normalizing global commodity price could contribute to a lower food inflation rate, indicating a more balanced demand and supply situation.
Next question, explain the policy measure that could be effective in controlling rising inflation in Malaysia based on the article. First is monetary policy. One of the policy to control rising inflation is monetary policy. The central bank can reduce the money supply through different monetary instruments, such as using open market operations. Other than that, raising the interest rate. It can reduce consumer spending and help to control the rising inflation. As suggested by MIDF research in the article, Bank Negara Malaysia maintaining its overnight policy rate status quo in 2024 could help to stabilize inflation. Next is contractionary fiscal policy. Fiscal policy can be employed to control rising inflation, including government introduced a fuel targeted subsidy program. As mentioned in the article, it can help to reduce the burden of rising prices on consumers as well as controlling rising inflation. Last one is supply side policies. Supply side policies can reduce inflationary pressure, but these policies will take a long time to have an effect and are unable to reduce the sudden increase in the inflation rate. The government should adopt the following measure to increase production. For example, increase the production of essential goods such as clothing, food, sugar, and others.
So for the last question is describe the potential consequences of rising inflation on the availability of essential goods and services in Malaysia. So for the first point is food prices. Higher inflation often lead to increased price for the essential food items such as rice, vegetable, meat and dairy product. This can stretch household budget, particularly for lower income families who spend a largest proportion of their income on food. Next is housing costs. Rental price and property values may rise, making it more expensive for individuals and families to afford housing. This can also lead to higher mortgage interest rate, increasing the cost of home ownership. For the third point is interest rate. To combat inflation, the central bank may raise interest rate, making borrowing more expensive for consumer and business. This can slow down economic activity. And last point is subsidies and welfare program. The government might need to increase subsidies and welfare program to support those most affected by inflation. This could strain public finance and lead to higher government debt.